Hi there, my name is Zoe Fairley and I'm a business owner based in Tendring, North Essex. I'm also a Tendring District Councillor and come from a farming family. I'm pleased to have been invited to speak today. Although I'm not directly involved with our family farming operations, the concept of regenerative farming and the overall benefits to the environment, biodiversity, the countryside and communities, people's health and well-being is of personal interest to me and important to us all. So I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about some broader points. They're points I think are good to have in mind within the overall discussion around farming activities. Although they don't relate solely to regenerative farming and soil quality, from discussions I've had with farmers, agronomists and the general public, I think they're important to take into account when looking at the whole story. Firstly, public perception of food and farming. From news reports to flashy TV ads and in-store marketing messages, public voices or environmental campaigners, there are many mixed messages out there around food and farming which leave people confused and turned off. Farmers often seem to come out on the negative end of public perception because of a headline. A campaigner's name may be well known, a face or organisation familiar. A particular take-home message may lack context and be at the cost of the public opinion of farming. Whatever the reasons are, the industry never seems to be great at reaching out to the general public or sharing much positive information around farming. Farmers need to push forward on how they can best get their message across, find the best voice to engage with the public and raise awareness on food and farming topics. Positive messages which encourage people to care about how their food is produced. A cohesive approach to share some of that farming passion and help people understand more about the challenges and opportunities around what farmers do. Not the in-depth detail on government policy, but topics people understand, have an opinion about, recognise how it affects them and care about the outcome. An average environmental campaign headline could be, farming is having a negative impact on wildlife and birds. With little publicity or general knowledge around the positive steps which are being taken in advance of such a headline, the view is simply that farmers are bad and public enemy number one to wildlife and birds. No mention of domestic cats at this point. But aside from that, these types of headlines are damaging to the public's view of farmers when there is actually so much positive information to share. A fantastic piece of work to come forward could be to take a good look at some of those headlines and work out what the public soundbite could be. Bring ideas forward for some well thought out campaigns. Address some of those headlines and raise understanding for how food is produced. There is so much information to share about food production, whether it's the difference between this chicken and that chicken or why that ingredient is better for you. There are simply thousands of discussion points and messages to get out there, and all can be linked to positive actions farmers are taking to produce food in a way that is better for our environment. When it comes to partnership working, I think about it from my perspective as a district councillor at a local level. Over 230 councils have already declared a climate emergency. Councils across the UK are taking action to reduce their own carbon emissions and lead work streams with partners and local communities to tackle the impact of climate change within their local areas. Tendring, where I'm a councillor, is one of those councils. When we think about the positive impact a move towards regenerative farming can bring, especially in relation to councils' own aims, it's vital to reach out and share the positive opportunities there are for councils to support regenerative farming initiatives within their own districts. It's an opportunity for them to develop greater links with businesses in their local areas and lead initiatives within their district's work which can really make a difference. The Environment Agency is another partner we must engage with, together with Natural England and other environmental bodies. It's a difficult situation as budgets over the years have been cut and activities around the management of waterways have been reduced. Over that same period, costs to farmers have been introduced for drainage rights. Responses to issues raised locally in my area from the Environment Agency around flooding and the health of fish and waterways defer responsibility to landowners and land management practices, stating that dredging is not an effective method of reducing flood risk from a particular watercourse and represents poor value for money. It's not justified. A recent headline we've all seen making national news is a Herefordshire farmer carrying out dredging work along a stretch of river to help reduce flood risk locally. Work which had been requested by local government for the Environment Agency to assess. Whatever the rights and wrongs of this case with licences and responsibilities, it was clearly a shock and a surprise for all. Multi-agencies came together to absolutely slam the farmer and investigate the issue after the event. The Forestry Commission and Environment Agency were equally appalled, and the Herefordshire Wildlife Trust stated it was a crime against the environment. The result being that the farmer was left with the negative headline and subjected to a frenzied hate campaign. The river had a SSSI status, so it would surely have been reasonable to expect that there should have already been a cohesive, joined-up plan in place with the relevant agencies and the landowner, rather than things spiralling to that stage. Clearly, the roles of the Environment Agency and other environmental bodies are complicated ones. But when you consider the benefits to be gained long term, it would have made sense for them to become passionate advocates and to take an active and invested role in promoting regenerative farming practices, proactively engaging with landowners and working closely with relevant partners to achieve change. Not all farmers are ready yet or confident to take steps to change from industrial farming systems. Policy leans towards achieving maximum levels of food production, and farmers know and trust the methods they use. Regenerative farming practices have unknown outcomes. However, rules and regulations around chemical use, what farmers can do and when they can do it, continue to be imposed. All are involved in some way, however small, with agri-environmental schemes and see many benefits of improved habitats and increased biodiversity. Brexit continues to present many challenges. The basic payment scheme is reducing, and as the introduction of ELMS gets closer, farmers have many challenges to overcome. The ELMS setup and payments aren't fully clarified, but however the levels or the tiers are set, only a small percentage of farmers will be able to achieve the highest tier. Payments will in no way fill the gap left as the single farm payment ends. The right level of support and management of environmental schemes also needs to be considered. Every farm has individual needs, and one size does not fit all. Different types of farms in different geographical areas all have to find ways to remain commercially viable through cost reduction, niche markets, and various diversification initiatives. Costs continue to rise for food production, but the price to the farmer does not. I am no expert, and this is my personal perspective, but people need to recognise and understand the cost of producing high quality food in sufficient quantity. People expect cheap food, but prices must increase. That negotiation and conversation must start with every stakeholder. If changing farming practices can achieve aspirational aims and benefits across health, carbon capture, flood risk and biodiversity, then the government agencies, corporate organisations, experts and the public voice need to be serious about supporting farmers on that journey. Finally, I believe that support needs to be at ground level to help farmers make informed choices that are right for them and for the good of all. Local agronomists seem best placed and qualified to help farmers start on that journey. Hands-on, face-to-face support with people they know and trust. So perhaps within this initiative and strategy, a voucher scheme could be negotiated to help farmers with the initial costs of working with their agronomist to find and implement the best regenerative farming solutions for them. This support is vital if we're serious about achieving change. And for some farmers, that help and direct contact in very challenging times may literally be a lifeline. Thank you.